I'm out of recess. Gia, have you got us turned on? Okay. This is the continuation of the meeting that was recessed Tuesday evening. Even though it was a recessed meeting, we're just continuing. We could start off this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance and followed by the invocation if y'all like. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alderman Parker, would you give our invocation?
Yes, sir. Dear God, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you for the beauty of it, for creating this day for us where we can glorify you with our words and actions. God, I ask that your guidance would be in every question that we ask, with every decision that we consider as we're moving forward to serve the citizens of Hernando. We ask that your will would be done. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So tonight I wanted to go over two separate funds. One of them is very short, is the cemetery fund. It is a standalone fund with its own separate bank account, so it's pretty cut and dry. Then when we move to the Parks Department fund, even though it is a standalone fund, it is dependent on a large source of its income from the general fund. As are most parks departments, the tax revenue and the ball revenue don't support it wholly. We have to shift some money over from the general fund to make it work. So when we get through with that budget tonight, it's still going to be a little bit dependent. Whatever number we end up putting in there that we see needs funding from the general fund, then we'll have to work that into the general fund when we go over that budget Tuesday night. So I just want to be clear on that. Y'all want to approve this agenda for the continuation of the meeting? Can I have a motion on that?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. This is the first recessed meeting I've done in a long time. I was a little out of sorts on how to start it. Let's just start with the cemetery budget real quick. We've got a one-sheeter there. So based on the revenues that we're seeing come in, and we will have new grave sites available due to new work that's been done there. Joe Frank will lay some out, so we'll have plenty of graves to sell if need be. But it looks like we'll easily bring in $27,000 in income, $4,000 in maintenance fees. The transfer of surplus, there is quite a bit of money in that account, and like I said, it is a standalone account with its own bank account. So it looks like we're going to be bringing forward $72,000. I'm not considering transferring any money from the general fund this year or taking out any loans for that cemetery. I just don't see the need for it since there's plenty of money there. The professional services down below that you see for $25,000, that's where we pay the guy that does all the cleanup and the mowing and various other things. That's the bulk of that line item. The cemetery capital outlay, I just put $30,000 in there. Some of you may have noticed it, some may not. There are some very old paths in that cemetery where you can walk between the graves. They're asphalt, and they basically disappeared under grass and fallen apart over the years. Many of the citizens have asked over the years if we could refurbish those. I talked to Joe Frank about it, and he said if we put $30,000 in the budget, he could just see how far that goes on giving us some concrete paths in place of those. We might get 2 of them done, might get 3 of them done. But I just thought that was a good number to put in there and still leave us a good balance. So if y'all are okay with that, that's what I was thinking about for the capital improvements in that cemetery this year, is just getting some of those paths put back. And if we do them in concrete, they'll last the rest of our lives and we won't have to worry about it again.
Did we put 100,000 there last year?
There was, and that was all the dirt work that was coming in.
Gotcha.
And it came in way under 100. We borrowed $100,000 in that last budget, so you'll see that we've got a note to pay back down in this budget as well. So some of that money is still there. There's a little bit more work that Joe's going to do, bringing in a little more dirt in that one hole out in the middle to finish that up, but it's not going to eat up very much money. So we'll just use the funds that are left to continue those capital improvements and do those paths, which seems to be the most need we have out there right now as far as capital goes.
That loan was recent, like this year, right?
Yes,
That's
it
what
was
I
in the
thought.
spring.
Part
Yeah.
for the park.
100,000 of it's for this, and 94,000 of it was in parks.
Right,
And
that's
we'll
what I
see
thought.
that loan in the next one.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's all one loan, but they've broken it apart for bookkeeping reasons.
Right, and it was a low interest loan.
It is. It's a 5-year loan. So, go ahead.
Also, Mayor, would you put on your notes that So we need a contract to have those wrought iron repainted.
Okay. It is time.
The what repainted?
The wrought iron fences, they're getting a little bedraggled out there.
You know why we doing this?
And anybody have any questions on that one, or is everybody pretty much good with it?
Is that sales figure just based on current year?
It is. It certainly, and tell you what, while we're here, I'll tell you what we're at right now on the cemetery lot sales. We are at 26,280 this year. And we still got 4 weeks to go, so. You know, if it trends the same, you know, you never know with the cemetery, but that's our best guess.
And how much is a lot?
They're 1,100 or 1,200? We have an ordinance that states what they are. And quite frankly, I'm not asking y'all to do it right now, we may discuss this later, but Quincy, who works at the cemetery for us, he has been asking that we pay him a little more for his lot cutting, so we might put that kind of out for bids. He would probably still be the cheapest. And he has also recommended, and just because he works at so many cemeteries, that we're the cheapest in the whole area. And he thinks we're leaving a lot of money on the table, and that's why. So, but it also could be because we're the cheapest that we're selling more lots too. So that's something we might consider later if y'all want to, but I'm not proposing an increase for this budget.
Cause definitely lot sales are not gonna go down.
They're probably not.
That's one thing, inflation has not stopped.
People always die, right?
Death and taxes.
Unfortunately, I'm serious, I mean,
Two
it's not
guarantees.
funny, I mean,
Yep.
I done did more funerals in the last 2 years than I did, you know, in 3 years combined.
Right, it's inevitable.
All right, if y'all feel comfortable with that one, we will move on to the Parks Department budget, which is a lot more in-depth. And I left all of you a list with answers to the questions you had asked me the last time. If you have deeper questions, feel free to ask me on that. So, all right, we can start with the revenue items on the Parks budget. As I think most of you know, I gave you a millage sheet. If y'all will look at this one here, that kind of breaks down our millage. So our property tax millage is divided amongst the general fund, the library fund, paying back bond issues, and the parks fund. So the park gets 2 mills of the 40.76. And so in that, it gives the park about $340,000, which are those top 5 or 6 line items there. So that's the property tax revenues that the Parks Department gets. So those don't really change. They are what they are. They're based on the formula that's given to us at the tax assessor's office. So as we roll down into the programs, you'll see the estimates for the revenues, and that's kind of based on what we've seen this year, which has been a lower year, a lot of it due to COVID. And we just don't know what COVID's going to do to our programs this year, so these are our best guesses. Obviously, in all of these programs, if the enrollment's up, then the fees go up, so we have, we'll have to adjust the budget for the revenue and for the expenses. Or if they go down, we'll adjust them down for revenue and expenses. But you can see softball's at 3,200, adult soccer 4,800, adult kickball 1,500, and that first one's adult softball, by the way. The park pavilion use fee at 6,000, Gale Center rentals 20,000. That has gone down a little due to COVID. People aren't gathering in groups indoors as much as they used to. That item on park rentals, that number will probably look familiar to you, 22,400. That's the money the soccer group is going to pay us to use the soccer fields. Basketball revenue 40,000, tennis revenue 6,000, soccer revenue 67. There will be no D2 soccer revenue nor a D2 soccer expense since that other group has taken over the competitive soccer. Baseball revenue 100,000, and when we say baseball, that's baseball, softball, t-ball, and fall baseball. So all of those youth sports together around ball. Special event revenue 5,900, interest 2,000, online fee revenue 8,500. Well, when people sign up online, there's a small fee they pay, and that goes into that revenue. It looks like on October 1, we'll have about 32,000 left in the bank in this account, so that will be your transfer from surplus. And depending on how we all come to an agreement on this budget, the way this budget's presented right now, it would take a $607,000 transfer from the general fund to make it balance. So that's the revenues. Obviously, that number is something that'll probably be up for discussion. The very first item in the expenditures is the personnel services. Dwayne has proposed increases for his department, including his own pay that hasn't been really raised in a lot of years, except for the normal pay raises that come to employees. So you can look at that sheet there. I know the board had talked about some of these really lower paying ones. You'll see these $10 ones going up to $13. And then you can just see that list. If y'all have got this list in front of you, that kind of shows the proposed. And that is obviously a discussion item if y'all want to talk about that and give me your thoughts on it.
Wayne, what do you think is a fair wage for those lower paying?
Well, you know, the average landscape company is paying people about $14, $15 an hour. I said 13 would be a $3 bump from what they've been, what we started out with before. We maxed out at 11. So I'm trying to come in between there, you know, best I can. And try to get some, a bit better pay for the people. And the same thing is with the receptionist pay also. The other receptionists that work for the city, they've been around $13, $14 an hour starting off. I was been starting off at $10 an hour. And that reception position is a very, very important position for us.
Yeah, that receptionist takes all the phone calls to book the pavilions and the rooms, and of course, lots of those phone calls that come in and people walk in the door to pay their fees for soccer, baseball, softball, t-ball. She's the person interacting with those, so she's pretty important as a face for the city.
I would just have one question. Is it, I see the bump is up to $13 proposed. But that's bumping everybody up to the same, even the new hires with the people that been there some years working. The new hires gonna come in making the same thing they do.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I mean, that's your proposal, ain't none of mine, so you gotta deal with this ground employee, not me. I mean, just, if I see somebody coming off the street that I got to train, I'm gonna be kinda disgruntled.
That's a good point.
I think that we had the
That's
option, what we
something you
did
gotta deal with,
before,
not me.
what we did before, we said we maxed out at 11, but you had to start them out at 11. So we had an option there. If we wanted to start a person off lower than 13, we can. But I get your point. I get exactly what you're talking about.
So your proposal is not starting at 13, that'll be the max at 13. I'm asking for clarity. I'm
Yeah,
just-
yeah.
I'm just
For the two
asking.
new positions you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking.
And it could be that all of those positions that are in the $10 range, just for a discussion point, you know, new position, open position, and other ones that come open, could be in the $11 to $13 range, you know, based on performance and, you know, how long you've been here and things of that nature.
What's the dollar difference from the gross salary on the proposal and last year, or, I mean, the current year?
It is,
You
hang
mean per
on,
hour?
Like, what's the dollar difference between what y'all are paying, everyone's getting paid now versus the proposal?
Well, right now, person starts in at $10 an hour.
you're
I'm
talking
just
about the overall?
Just overall, like the total for the
Ba-
department.
bas-
It's
Oh, yeah,
$199,000.
okay, yeah.
199, okay.
You can see that at the top of the second page.
Yeah, I don't
That
have that.
third column is the change. So that's the total of
Okay.
payroll, so that 199 would be the difference, with two new employees and the proposed pay increases
And
across the board.
are we at budget? Are we gonna be at that budget amount? Or are we,
So the current budget amount for payroll was 433, and it looks like we're gonna be right tipping at that by September 30th. Yeah, we're using up every bit of it.
Yeah, we're at 89% right now.
okay.
What is this sheet right here, Doug?
That was one of the questions y'all had asked about the difference in 3% payroll across the board at all of them. So I sent y'all a number on your sheet of paper, and that was just a supporting document for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's what the payroll increase. Now, this proposal here is more than 3%. That's not on that sheet.
Okay, I got you. That's what I
Yeah.
didn't understand what's on the.
Good for clarification, so.
And this is the department head salaries, this sheet.
Yeah, that's current. I've got you another
Current.
sheet there that just shows all the department heads and their current pay rates. Except for the city clerk who, you know, we had agreed was gonna be at this certain level
Right,
at the new budget, so.
correct.
As far as your salary, Dwayne, where does that put you in the other cities in the area, I guess? Is that pretty much even, or is that a little higher or lower?
If we're comparing ourselves to, you know, Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, those three right there, basically it's lower,
Lower? Okay. What about like Oxford? Is it
definitely lower,
lower? Okay.
Proposed or current?
Proposed.
proposed.
Proposed is still lower?
Tax revenue's lower too.
I think like we said before, that we gotta compare revenues versus salary also.
That's right.
South Haven got 54,000 people, Hernando got 16,000.
17,138.
Okay, for that. So, I mean, so when we look at those, I mean, the number, regardless, the number's gonna be, his salary gonna be lower,
Right, because the whole programs are lower.
the whole program, so.
Or
It's
smaller.
just like when they try to compare our programs against South Haven, we don't have the revenue to support, to do the things South Haven do. And so, you know, so it works both ways. Most definitely, you know, pay rate is needed and should be done, but anyway.
It's needed, I mean, for sure, but I wonder if it could be split over 2 budget years. On some of these big ones.
But, that's something that we could ask have the chief executive, the review department heads, salary, and bring back in a recommendation after looking at all the data, to answer those questions.
You want me to look at the data on all the department heads in towns of similar size and in our county, because our county is a little different too, so all that can be amalgamated together. I could bring that back for at least by the main board meeting September 7th.
Well, we can look at all the department heads at one time.
You know what I'm saying, you know, that we, they most definitely, I think is needing raises. And it's kinda, I think it's an injustice to ask the department head to propose their own salary raise, you know, it's kinda, you know, if he said one number, then we'll say it's self-serving. You know what I'm saying?
It does put them in a bad spot, you're
So
right.
they're in a bad, I mean, it's a bad light on them.
I'll do that. I'll get
And
all the
as
department
being-
heads' salaries together, and I'll make
I mean,
recommendations to
that's
the
'cause
board.
he got to make recommendations
September
for the
7th.
employee that he managed. And I think the same thing should be with our chief executive officer, that he need to review those salaries and make recommendations to us. You know, in line with talking with them, you know. Ben, is I'm confusing? You looking at me kind of funny.
No, I'm just processing it all. I mean, I think that just, you know, in talking on Tuesday, we talked about, you know, across the board, there's folks that are hourly employees that we wanted to take a hard look at that, to make it more competitive, to be able to hire good people that were going to stay here, because retaining people is a big cost savings. Losing people is a major expense.
I totally agree.
So, you know, I understand that side of it for sure. I think it's really difficult to compare the cities in DeSoto County, period. Like, I think that's just not ever gonna be a fair comparison. But also, if you're just gonna say, do we go by population alone and say, well, Hernando's got 17,000 people, well, let's try to find another city with 17,000 people in it in the state of Mississippi. to compare it to, or something close to that. Is that the best way of doing it, or should it be based on the overall budget that the city set forward? You know, do they have tax revenues that are similar? I mean, there's a lot of different metrics that we could potentially pull in here that's going to, and I know you were talking about revenue, so I'm
I think we should look at all of them, I mean, both of them.
yeah.
I mean,
It's not a easy,
No,
I
it's
don't
not
think it's
that
an
it's
easy, I don't think there's an easy answer to it, necessarily. There's a lot of different ways you could do it, for sure.
There are. That's why I didn't promise to bring it back this Tuesday. I promised to bring it back the Tuesday after, because it's gonna take a lot of digging.
Yes, sir.
I've done that, it was years ago, but the board asked me years ago to do a comparative study of like cities, like size, and like sales tax revenue. So it's easy.
Well, I
to
can
call-
take a look at that and start there and maybe go back to those same cities and see what they're at now.
Yeah, you just call the
And
state
I'll have to
office
do it
and
with all
get
the
that.
department heads, so,
Mhm.
okay. Any other comments on the personnel part? And like I say, we're not approving anything tonight. We're just talking and getting it closer to a point where we'll have a final product to put in front of y'all for final discussion September 7th.
Just looking at the fact that you have one open position and you're looking to add, you have 2 new positions. If you were to fill all 3 of those, your staff is where you need it to be at that point?
Yes. That would be ideal.
We have, you know, I'm learning, you know, I've been here less than 2 months now, but bathrooms are a big point of contention with people, and every time I walk in a parks bathroom, it doesn't look the way I want it to look. I don't want to use it. And we go in there every day, but we're going through 7 bathrooms and running through them. And we just don't, quite frankly, have enough staff or time. If we spend too much time in there, then we can't stripe the soccer fields, or we can't mow. And I know we all want it to a higher level, and we want everything to a higher level, and we literally just don't have the time with the 3 or 4 people who are here during the day, because somebody's always out sick, somebody's always on vacation, somebody's quarantining because of a family member. And with such a small staff, one person gone hits everybody really hard, so.
Well, one problem we've had is vandalism.
Yes.
We can't keep up. Well, at one point in time, we couldn't keep up because of vandalism. And if you've never been in one of the park restrooms, I hope you'll find some time to go take a look at them. Are we going and checking them every day?
Every day. We either go during the hot time, like it is now, extremely hot. We go in the evening, in the afternoon time, and go and check them, so we can try to get all our weeding and mowing done during the cooler part of the day, and striping fields and whatnot. So we can only check them 1 time a day. We don't have time to check them twice a day. You know, like Congo Park, they went in and tore all the sheetrock off the walls in the restrooms at Congo Park.
Really?
Just went in there, bust the sheetrock, tore it off, then went inside the storage unit where we keep all our tennis supplies, got the tennis balls out, tennis rackets out, threw it all over the court. They did it in both restrooms. So we got that repaired. You know, last week, you know, they broke the locks on the doors we have there. So try to get all that done. That was at that one park. That wasn't talking about Lee Summit, which seemed to be the most vandalized part we got. It's Lee Summit, where they tear the bathroom stalls off, and they stuff the toilets, and they like PCs all over the wall. Everything that goes on can go on in Lee Summit. You know, so it just takes a longer time to get those places as clean as they need to be when that kind of stuff goes on. And it's not just wiping the toilet, wiping the sink, getting up trash and going, but they will wipe feces on the walls. You spend time wiping and cleaning it off. You don't just get it off quickly.
Cameras.
Dwayne did upgrade Conger Park this week. Instead of replacing the sheetrock, they replaced it with a wood product. So it would be much harder to vandalize and
It's a
destroy.
thicker plywood is what it is. So
What
they
about
have to,
cameras?
we've had cameras before, and you know, well, we had mock cameras before. We didn't see anything that really deterred them from doing it, even with that. You know, or we did have them. They were just jumping up, just taking the camera, you know, just breaking the camera or something like that.
Cameras can be really small too, though.
So myself and Alderman Lynch met with the Parks Department for, what was it, 2.5 hours? It was a good long, and we mentioned cameras, and and also just, whether it's light fixtures or whatever else, and having something, looking at things that are potentially more commercial grade, shatterproof grade. I mean, all these things, if you, you know, that's gonna be, I think, the route that you have to go at times, where it may not be as aesthetically pleasing, but if it's gonna be more durable over time, or we're having these vandalism issues, and we may have to switch to switch to non-traditional locks on the doors, may have to be keypads, potentially. You know, there's an expense related to it, but there's a return on investment there to potentially have it, you know, be more secure. I think cameras are another option as well, and, you know, there's an electricity, I think, issue there. There's an internet issue that arises when those come up as well. I think those were the things that we identified in the meeting that we had. Okay, you have a camera, but where does it go to? If there's no wireless connectivity to it, then it's just sort of there. And it may be somewhat of a deterrence, but,
I guess we could set up a Wi-Fi hotspot inside that storage room.
yeah, there could be some options there for sure, but.
You know, I didn't think about this when we had our meeting, but we might could just find some for right now, that just had a large memory card in them, and, you know, if you knew, you know, that would record a week or two at a time, and, I mean, obviously, you're gonna know if you're going every day, within a 24-hour period of when the vandalism occurred. We just gotta get the cameras, I guess, up high and out of reach.
Yeah, we thought about that, and people just make extra effort to tear up stuff, so we have to really put it to where they cannot get to it,
Yeah.
because they make extra effort. They see it, like they're kicking signs out at the skate park. Rule signs, they're just kicking them out. Every time we put them back, they just kick them out again. You know, and it's just not the only place that it's going on, though, but it's just that kind of stuff, you know, it takes a lot of effort to kick
That's why
those
I'm
signs
thinking
out.
we've gotta find some way to catch them and
Well,
hurt and prosecute them for vandalism.
yeah, to your point, what I was fixing to say is we did ask the police to patrol it more often. And, you know, that's probably one of those things, for a while we do it and then we slack off. But
And we've seen the police, I've seen them personally in the parks more.
They do
Since we
go
asked
in.
that, they've been in the parks more, driving through, you know, trying to do it, you just gotta,
We'll look a little deeper into the cameras, because, you know, you catch a couple, and usually it's, you know, lots of times, it's the same ones over and over. So if you get that one caught, then it stops for a few months anyway.
And one other thing, we kicked around additional lighting. 'Cause some of those areas are pretty dark, and additional lighting might help keep people from some of the vandalism.
Are they locked in the evenings?
restrooms, no. Because at one point in time, many years ago, we used to lock the restrooms, and then the more people started wanting to walk in the evening time, it become more of a walking place, they complained about the restrooms being locked and couldn't get them to use the restroom.
That was a big issue, I remember that. And then, there's a lot of people who go walking very early in the morning, and, you know, we could never get over there early enough to unlock them for them. Or
Well, I
we
wonder if
locked them too
there's-
early in the evening, and then getting the person to go lock them, you know, that's.
Well, but, you know, now there's smart locks and things that we could, even if we don't have the Wi-Fi, there might be some that are timers or something like that, possibly. That could, you know, open at like 5 AM and close at 9 PM. I mean,
That's an interesting thought.
that's pretty reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about those kind of locks before, Ben mentioned it, now you're talking about it. What made me pause on it was that the extra effort people take to tear things up. You know, so it can be, you know, somebody go out there with a bat and crank it and break it, and just stand there, just beat on it just 'cause they can, 'cause they wanna just try to do it, see if they can get in it. That's gonna happen. So we'll just be prepared for that, to be able to replace those kind of things when it happens. I think it's a good idea to have the locks, that kind of lock.
That is one thing I've learned, is that park vandalism's never gonna stop. There's always a new group of kids coming through.
It's a juvenile
We just have to do our best.
It's the ones that think that they'll never get caught. That's the whole thing. If some of them start getting caught, then that kind of changes things. Can I ask a question on this? The open position and the two new positions, what are those needed for specifically? Like, I just want to know.
For maintenance.
For maintenance?
Maintenance in general, talking ball fields, maintenance on baseball fields, stringing soccer fields, maintenance in general, then turf work. That's what
Okay.
we need them for.
Will you, this helped me a lot, because you explained it to me and I didn't know it, which I should have, I guess, about just the one simple task of doing the raking of the infields, and
So,
we have to do it too fast, et cetera.
right, there's a proper way to do it. We do the raking of the ball fields, raking, dragging, prepping the ball fields, we do it every day. The way you're supposed to do it, you're supposed to do it at a slower pace than what we do, because we have so few people, and so much work to do, we have to do it really fast. And so, when you rake a ball field, you can go too fast and you'll throw dirt to the edge, or infield mix to the edge, which will create a lip over time. If the lip gets created, you see it's created, you're supposed to stop, brush it out, or get a water hose and blow it out. But we don't have the time to stop, brush stuff out, or sweep it out, or blow it out. We gotta get on to the next field, and then get on to the next part. So if we're able to have more staff, when we can really focus on that, we can take our time and manicure those fields a lot better. Even with the edging of the fields, actually supposed to water the fields before you start raking the fields, because the fields start to get hard, like they're hard and dry during the summertime, supposed to take some time, water the field down, then go out there and let it dry a little bit, then go out there and rake the field, break it up, then drag it to close it up, then do your chalking and whatnot. That just takes more time to do it. We can't do all of those processes because we have to get somewhere else and get things clean, or get other places cut, or, just whatever emergency come up. Plumbing needs to be done, piece of equipment broke down, needs to fix it, all kinds of things come up, so we need more people to help concentrate that effort on doing that kind of work that raises the level of the work that we do on the ball field. So doing that work, but we can do it at a better level, at a higher level, if we have the staff there to help us do that.
Has it been looked into, to contract out a janitorial service for the bathrooms? I mean, that would save time, that would obviously save time. It may save a little overtime and,
Maybe one position. That's why I was wondering what the positions were for. If like you said, the janitorial, if you're needing, people are having to go by every single place once every single day, that might shore up a position.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And
That is a good idea.
I think
if you
outsourcing
look,
that,
if you look at the annual salary of one person, would it cost us less than that to outsource it?
you roll up the perks and benefits and everything,
Oh,
you're talking,
we
42,
look at a
42,000.
$13 an hour person, the total package is 42.5.
Right. Surely our janitorial services, and they would be held accountable for keeping everything clean, and we would have it, they would have to sign in, and you know how bathrooms are like that.
That's worth looking into.
Mm-hmm.
Ideal would be, if somebody was able to focus just on the bathrooms, first of all, you get more efficient, if you're doing the same thing. But ideally, 2 or 3 times a day, at least twice a day would be ideal to get these bathrooms looked at and cleaned.
Because that's how we get into the complaint part of it, that we're cleaning in the morning, but then we don't see it again until the next morning, then somebody comes in at 11, mess it up.
Right.
Then somebody comes in the evening time and says, the bathrooms are terrible. They hadn't been cleaned at all. Well, we cleaned them that morning when we got in, then we went on about the rest of our day. Or we clean them in the evening time, and then they're dirty in the morning because we clean them in the evening time. So we have to try to switch it up based on the work schedule. But
You
janitorial
could just
service is a
use
good
those
idea.
people for maintaining the fields better.
And see, that's very good what I was thinking about. We're both saying that any effort we can concentrate on maintaining athletic turfs at a higher level is where we want to be. Athletic turf being maintained and restrooms, those are the two biggest complaints that we get from people. And so I think those ideas will help us to be able to address both of those issues.
right. And I know we're having a hard time finding people to
People to
work.
work,
So,
right. That's why I had that one position still open, because we're supposed to have 5 right now in maintenance. I only have 3. One just told me yesterday he's going to resign, go work somewhere and make more money. So, and we haven't been able to fill that one position that we got, because nobody wants to come do this kind of work, $10 an hour,
Do you know how much more they're leaving for?
$16.
That's a big difference from 10 to 16.
And to
I
sit
know
in
we
the-
have a
to be in the air
current employee
conditioning,
that's-
yes.
We have an employee that's pretty good that's about to leave his department. Do you know what he's going for?
Well, that's what he's going.
He's going for the $16 job.
That's the $16 guy. He's the second most skilled guy that we got. Anybody that come work for us is making $10 an hour. They have to be taught how to run a zero turn. They don't know how to do anything
How
with
long
a
has he been,
chainsaw.
how long has he been with you?
About 9 months. Yeah, about 9 months, 9 to 10 months.
Y'all have the options of matching or trying to keep people like that, because, I mean, that's not in the budget.
Right.
It's not. And of course, any pay raise, even if it's a penny, this board has to approve it.
Right.
Y'all are- And you start trying to match in general, then it becomes a trick bag you're into and.
Right, you can't do it when you're set on a set budget.
Right.
I just wondered how that's handled. I mean, you basically just have to let them walk.
Where he's going, is he getting insurance and PERS?
Yes.
Not PERS.
He's getting PERS, he's getting, I didn't say PERS, but no, he's not getting PERS, but he's getting the insurance.
Insurance.
And our problem at this level, to be frank, I think most of us know that younger people don't look at the retirement as a big benefit. They just don't get it.
Right.
So they'll leave for an extra $1 an hour and ditch the retirement because they just don't understand it
Or the insurance is cheaper somewhere else.
yet. Right,
And not as much as coming out of their check.
Government plans are not as rich as they once were either.
that's right.
Teens people.
You want to talk about the expenses other than payroll right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we can just roll down through there. Office supplies are at 1,600. Supplies in general are at 7,000. Janitorial supplies, 2,300. And these are all trends that, you know, we got together and these are where things are trending towards. The gas and oil are 8,000, which is up just a little bit. Employee uniforms, 1,000. Chemicals, 6,000. Miscellaneous, 400. City beautification supplies, which is when we plant flowers and bushes and things like that, it's 2,500. Repairs and maintenance to building, 1,500. Repairs and maintenance to equipment, 6,000. Repairs and maintenance to park, 11,000. A big bulk of that is the wood turf. What do you call it?
Engineered wood. fiber.
Engineered wood, yeah, that we put in the parks. 1,000 for maintenance and repair of vehicles, 700 for tools. And then we're into sports now. Basketball supplies are 10,200. That's where you purchase their uniforms and basketballs and such as that.
Where are we playing our basketball? I know we played at the middle school.
Well, we talked with the schools, and they said we can use their schools again this year so far. You know, but last year we couldn't do it because of COVID. They shut things down. So they said, okay, this time. So we're waiting to see if that's still gonna be the case.
In the middle school?
Middle school, Oak Grove Central, and then we use several churches in town too.
Let's see, tennis supplies 800, soccer supplies 35,000. D2 supplies are zero because we cut that out. 45,000 on baseball supplies, 500 adult softball, 300 adult kickball, 2665 for special event supplies, and 2,000 for adult soccer supplies. So overall, the supplies are down $1,985, which is basically flat. Miscellaneous service and charges, we got 3,000, 5,000 for legal expense. You never know on legal. Legal can be zero or it can be $30,000. You just never know. So, city beautification, and down here, once again, just, I have to remind myself as much as y'all, the other services and charges are things we pay other people to do. 6,100 for communications, 1,000 professional fees, website 2,000, the online credit card fees are 3,000, 700 for pest control, 2,500 for travel per diem and training, 1,400 for publication expense, 250 printing and binding, 5,000 for insurance, 38,000 for utilities, outside repairs to buildings, 7,600.
Is that like liability insurance?
That's a combination of our liability and building insurance.
Okay.
So that's a calculation just done internally by our bookkeeper, and she splits up our whole insurance fees and allocates them the best she can between departments. Here's the big one. The park maintenance contract, it's been $27,000 to $30,000, which sprays our fields. This park maintenance contract is a big piece of freeing up our manpower. There's money in there to outsource most of the mowing. We haven't been able to get an accurate bid this year. He had some old quotes from a year ago, but that would outsource most of the mowing to free them up to do all the other things that we think the citizens are asking for us to do to make the programs better. So, that's a big number. I expect discussion on it.
What would that leave you mowing? I guess that's the basic.
Well, actually, that would take care of all the mowing.
Okay.
But we look forward to that doing, mowing every part in both athletic complexes. And that would have us now concentrating those efforts, that we talked about earlier, on maintaining those ball fields at a higher level, having the time to strain soccer fields, paint soccer fields, clean restrooms more often, do repairs in the playgrounds, because we have playground maintenance, playground inspections we have to do, playground repairs we have to do, getting weeds out of the playground, things like that, fixing stuff in the playgrounds. Trail maintenance we have to do, maintaining the trails, the sides of the trails, trees we have to cut down, landscaping we have to maintain all throughout the city. You know, flowers, weeding, mulching, all those kinds of vehicles we have to maintain, equipment we have to maintain. You know, something, plumbing goes wrong, we have to fix the plumbing. Water fountain breaks in the park, like at the dog park, we have to go and repair that water fountain, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's plenty for us to do. But it gives us the opportunity to do it better and do it more often if we had that mowing. That's mowing, weeding, and blowing.
And that includes the ball fields and soccer fields?
Yes.
But we obviously know that we are still gonna, you know, sometimes whoever's mowing for us is gonna come on their own schedule. We'll try to dictate what days they come, but if it rains and they get off schedule, there's gonna be times our guys are still gonna have to jump on the mowers and go handle something.
We don't want to
We
be
know
caught.
that'll still be going on, but it just won't be every day, all day.
We don't want to get caught with the grass overgrown.
Help me out on one thing. If we put $115,000 in there to outsource those tasks, I thought the purpose of adding 2 new positions that would be used for maintenance of parks and fields, do you need, I don't, why would you need to do both?
Well, because see, our workload requires us to have those people regardless. We just need to have it, whether with the mowing in there, we need to have all those people anyway. If you take the mowing away, we still need those people anyway to do all the things we need to do at a higher level. It's all about the frequency and the level of doing things in that number right there. So we can still do the work, but we still have to move just as quick, and we're not going to do it as often as we would do it before. But we're trying to raise the level of the maintenance at the ball fields, the level of maintenance of the landscaping and inside the playgrounds and those things, and get those pieces repaired quicker. Then we're going to have those people there to still be able to do that work, because it still takes that time to do that work. You know, that feasibility study that was given, that we paid for, says we need to have at least 12 employees in our department. Needs to be at least 6 to 7 people on the maintenance staff. Actually, I had 7 on the maintenance staff. What we need to have. So that's just what we need to have. Regardless.
Did that study include us outsourcing this mowing?
No, but it talks about the possibility of outsourcing the mowing, though. Yeah, talks about that.
I just got that study today. I didn't have it. I just got it emailed to me, so I will share that with y'all. It was, what year did they do? Was it 2 years ago the city paid for that?
2020, last year.
Yeah, okay. I'll email it to y'all.
They started in 19, and it rolled over into 2020, and they finished it up in January.
I think Neil Schaefer was the one that
Yeah.
did that.
Dwayne, I'm gonna jump you back to the revenue page. I'm gonna make an assumption that the revenues in several of those line items dropped. Was that COVID?
Yes,
COVID reflects that?
yes.
That's what I figured. So if we can get beyond COVID, we should see that revenue numbers start going back up.
The revenue numbers start going back up. But even also during our fall baseball, we have the most in fall baseball we've ever had. We had 580 players in our fall baseball, softball, t-ball league. That's more than we've ever had.
200.
We're seeing good numbers there. It could be more, but we're seeing good there.
Well, your revenue went down, but your expenses went down too, so they.
Right, they will follow one another.
That
Yes.
makes sense, you know?
Right.
That's why I made that assumption.
mean, obviously, we have to make tough decisions and can't always do everything. You know, this is a budget proposal, so let me ask you this. If it came down to a park maintenance contract or adding 2 new positions, which one do you feel like would be the preferred route?
If I could, to have,
If it's an either or proposition.
if I, to keep me at 5 maintenance people or do a park maintenance contract,
So,
I would say do the park maintenance contract, and I'm gonna keep my 5 people.
okay.
Don't add the 2 people.
Don't add the 2 people.
Okay.
If it came down to the either or, that's what I would do. Because they're taking that workload of cutting all the parks off and allowing us to do that, that's gonna be better than what we got going on now.
Right.
Right, because the total for those 2 people, the new positions, is almost the same as the increase in the park maintenance contract.
Right.
I mean, it's
2,000
almost
short.
exact,
It's
yeah.
about 2,000 short.
when the full package.
But we don't have an actual quote yet. to
No,
know.
we've been trying to get them, it's just hard to get companies to quote you on stuff, you know.
So that number could double or whatever.
Or it could be, yeah, the double could be less. Yeah. But to help us to be able to focus more attention on athletic turfs, surfaces, and have the mowing taken off of us, would be a great help to us.
I've noticed this before. With certain mowing things, Public Works takes on some of it, Parks takes on some of it. Is there like a clear delineation of responsibilities that we could?
There is now.
Okay.
So if it's along the road right-of-ways or along the sidewalks and the 10-foot wide sidewalks that are adjacent to streets, those are the Road and Streets Department.
Okay.
If it's in the parks, it's the Parks Department, like the trails and the baseball fields. I'm,
What's the linear park? Who's responsible for that?
that's the Streets Department, yeah. We called it a linear park to get the grant.
Sure.
But it's a wide sidewalk,
I
yeah. So, yeah, that's not the Parks Department, it's the Streets Department. Lee knows that, and Lee's had his crews out the last couple of times handling it.
And how many hours, you told me this before, but how many hours do y'all spend mowing each week? Like 80
It takes 49 hours
or 49?
to mow and to weed eat every week. That's just those 2 tasks. It's not chalking fields, striping soccer fields, cleaning restrooms. It's not working in the playgrounds. It's not repairing anything. It's
49
not
hours for
concentrating.
one guy?
49, yes.
49 hours of labor. There could be
Man
multiple people.
49 man hours, yeah.
49
Yeah.
man hours.
I will tell you that yesterday, just as an aside, to show you where the Parks Department is right now, Dwayne called me early yesterday morning and said, hey, are you gonna need me for budget meetings today? And I said, not today, we're gonna finish yours tomorrow. And he said, well, good, because I need to get on the mower and stay on it all day. You know, so that happens with our director quite often. He has to jump on the mower and cover.
Well, no, I was just thinking if you had, took 49 hours, if you had one person worked a little overtime, I mean, you're talking less, total package deal, less than 50 grand. Versus outsourcing it, if you just dedicated one person to do that.
But then,
It's
but
not-
then you're dealing with you're dealing with a
Or 2 people to
timeline.
split it.
You're dealing with a timeline of when they have to be done versus events.
I think part of the problem is he's having a hard time keeping people.
But I'm just saying, say the soccer field, you got soccer going on, you got baseball going on.
Yeah, sometimes you
fields
gotta cut
gotta
it
be
all in
cut.
one day.
Those fields have to be cut all during the same time frame.
Now, currently, we do contract out the soccer field, right?
Not the cutting, no.
But you do, y'all do
We
the
do the
cutting?
cut, we cut everything.
Didn't you start out this year with a contract on the soccer
No,
field? or last year?
we started cutting the soccer field back in 2018.
Okay.
We started doing it then, cutting all of it on our own.
Who
We
y'all
was-
contracted before that?
We contracted before that, the soccer field only. The soccer field and baseball is contracted for the spraying and fertilizer, weed control fertilizer. We have 2 contracts for that.
So we had 27,000 in that line item last year, and that was for the fertilizing and weed control. And what company was doing most of that spraying work?
Premier, Yeah, that's the same guy that's doing all the, we got army worms that are back again, so it's round 2 is going on now, so.
I
it's
thought
coming
y'all
up-
had a couple of certified sprayers.
Yes, we do.
Y'all do? Are y'all spraying it in-house and just getting the stuff, or what
We're
are you
not,
doing?
we're not spraying the athletic surfaces, we're not spraying those. We contract that out because we just don't have the time to do the spraying too. But the other spraying in the parks, we do that.
Okay.
So in the
Like
parks in
Conga
general,
Park or-
Conga Park, parks in general, any other surfaces, we spray those ourselves.
You wanna look at that next line item, 637? I'm gonna tell y'all what we take out of that one normally.
That's what we've done outside repairs to parks.
Yeah. And we got backstops in there and just lots of Dixie plumbing bills and Whitfield electric repairs, lots of lighting and plumbing stuff.
We had
in
the
there,
big
those
freeze that
type-
went on early this year, all our plumbing burst in all our restrooms. And so we had to have someone come in and fix all of that.
We got
took it.
15,000 in there. This was, there was, in that line item, let's see,
Decrease there.
yeah, that's, we had borrowed money in that line item this year. So I think we just adjusted that one. It was 94,000.
Is that where some of the money went to do the infields and stuff?
Yes.
It was, yeah. So we did that berm work for 15,000. We are not putting any loan money into this budget this year. Just try not to borrow money as much as possible in this whole budget across all departments. The next one was the outside repair and maintenance of vehicles. We have a couple of them that have been wrecked or lawnmowers ran into, and they just, I mean, they still run, but the body's work looks terrible on them. We need to get a couple of them to the body shop so they look the way I think we want them to look.
If we contract the mowing out, that should help with that account with issues with the lawnmower.
You would think so. Rentals, that's mostly our porta potty rentals in places, and sometimes we rent some extra lights, temporary lights for soccer, things of that nature in that one. And then you get back into the sports down there with the outside. Those are mostly where we're hiring umpires, referees. As you look down through those numbers, baseball's a big one, 23,000.
There's a big increase into the basketball. Is that just because y'all didn't play last year? Is that what the?
Yes, we didn't play. That number dropped because we did a budget amendment, so I was able to take money from there to make up money in other line items.
Before we did the budget amendment, let me tell you what that number was. All right, so that.
379.
679. Yeah, it was 22,600.
Yeah.
And this is reflecting those budget amendments y'all approved at the last board meeting.
So essentially, he's just asking for about a $61,000 increase, and that's basically for the lawnmower contract, not the lawnmower.
That covers most of it in there, yeah. That's the bulk of the change. And then you get down here and we're still gonna need lawnmowers at work. So down here in capital improvements, you're gonna see 34,000 for various equipment. Dwayne, can you talk about, I know you made a list
Yes.
of which equipment you were talking about.
You know, we need 4 new weed eaters, 4 blowers. That's gonna be about $3,800 for those. And then we need 2 John Deere, or 2 mowers. It's coming in about $26,000 for those 2 mowers. We wanna have mowers that's under warranty. That's what we wanna have. We got mowers right now that are not under warranty.
Help me understand why we would need to buy mowers if we're gonna contract the mowing out.
Right.
I've
So-
asked that question too.
Yeah, very good question. Well, like I said, we got 2 mowers that are not under warranty, so if something major going with them, we got left that cost of repairing that. So we want to try to get 2 mowers that's under warranty, and then we always gonna run into a situation where a company may not get out and cut. You know, we cannot have baseball or soccer growed up too tall. And the company said, we just can't get to y'all today because we got behind schedule. We simply get out there and get it cut, so we should run our program. Or somebody has an event at the park, a family reunion or church or whatever it is, we better cover that in case the company can't cover it. I just figure if we cut what they supposed to cut and they don't cut, we just, they don't charge us for that cut. That's what it is. We would get a per cut cost is what we were getting. So if we end up cutting it, they say we don't charge you for that cut.
When you sub it out, it sounds like it's gonna be perfect, but it's not. I remember one time, spring came around and we had a contract with a company to cut the cemetery. And suddenly we looked up and it was a foot tall and the guy said, I just can't get any help. And so,
Life happens.
yeah, it happens. So that can happen occasionally. And of course, rain and other schedules, things just happen where we'll have to mow it occasionally.
So with this being said, and piggyback off of Alderman Wilker, it's still a 2 and 4, could that be 1 and 2?
What do you mean?
One mower and 2 weed eaters.
Because a lot of it is dependent upon if we have to bag up the people that we got contracted. So if we have one under warranty versus not having none, I think it'll be better because the others are still serviceable, they're just not on the warranty. I'm gonna talk to the mayor about this, that we might even look at, we got, and I know this for a fact, so we got this shop up there. We got full-time maintenance person up there, and when
At
that
Public
person
Works.
is not, when that person is not doing, that person is out cutting grass because there's no work to be done. And so some of that maintenance might could be done up there and done in-house. We gotta do a better job of working in-house with the resources that we have, instead of a territorial type thing. In other words, if this more need work on, I got a maintenance person now that's capable of doing that job, even though he is in public works. And I think that should be done there.
I'll talk to Lee about that.
That's just my opinion, because to me, at the end of the day, it's one city,
We're all on the same team.
So we got to look at it, even though it shouldn't be so territorial, just like, like same thing about our wards. We got 6 wards, but it shouldn't be so focused that it's got to happen in my ward. We got to look at it as told for the city what's best for the entire citizen at the end of the day.
That's right.
If we get so hung up in our own little territorial type thing, I know they don't want to put you in office, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, it's what's best for the citizen in the city.
I'll work on
In
that.
this case here, I think, we got capability to do things, so why send a little shop set there? And then Dwayne got, space down there that they could work on it there, but we just bring that person out, hey, see if we can prepare this here. So we buying parts instead of paying for labor. That's just me, it sounds kinda stupid, but I think it's workable.
No, I agree with you.
Oil changes and all that, and that police department, fire department, all that.
I'm just saying, I think we got to look more.
I don't disagree with you.
Fine.
I'll work on that. Okay?
I guess we're gonna buy a truck, I guess that's the next line item.
Yes.
Did you give me a list of the vehicles you have?
I didn't email you a list of that, but I can tell you what they are. We got,
Is that a state contract product?
well, we looked on the state contract, they didn't have any trucks
They don't have them
available.
on state contract yet.
Right.
So
And they're
that's
only
just our
selling
best
Dodge and
guess.
Nissan,
There's
but,
no new trucks out there.
That's
right,
right.
that's what I was
Yeah.
talking about, there's no new vehicles out there, so. But yeah, we're using vehicles that are 16 years old,
Sure.
and then 2 vehicles that Public Works didn't want anymore, that we bought from Public Works a couple of years ago.
Do we have any type of fleet management for the city, citywide?
We really don't. And we're getting to the point of, back to Alderman Miller's point, we can merge or 2 together. It may be that at some point we take 2 bays of a building somewhere and that's where all our vehicles go to get maintained by, just like a shop, having our own shop. And we don't split it up, we send the police cars in there to get maintained, we send the trucks in there to get maintained. So I think we're gonna be big enough fairly soon that might work out for us.
Do we keep maintenance records on the vehicles and all that stuff, and does everybody keep up with that?
I think the police
I know
department
police
does,
department
and they're, because they have such a big fleet. I don't know that we're keeping,
Yeah, we keep it for, I mean, cause we
I know you do
always,
for the mowers.
yeah, for the mowers, we do the oil change blades and things like that. For our vehicles, we do send it off and get, outside company to do our oil changes and stuff on the vehicles, try to save
But
some
you can
time.
kind of forecast out how many vehicles you're gonna need each year,
Yeah.
the miles you put on. Like you said, you got vehicles that are 16, 17 years old, I guess.
Mm.
Putting that on my list, the vehicle maintenance schedule for all the vehicles, to make sure we're doing that.
I'd like to know what we spend, like, at all these places around town. Because, gosh, if we
Well,
had in-house,
you look at outside repair on the end of the problem is already up from outside repair.
Oil change probably every 6,000 miles, or I don't know how we're doing it.
Generally now, they're about 6,000 or 7,000 miles on newer vehicles.
Synthetic oil.
yeah, there's 6.
Most of them have a light that will come on and tell you, based on your usage and your wear.
Is that gonna be an additional vehicle, or are you gonna replace a vehicle?
It would be an additional vehicle, cause like I said, we got that one that's 16 years old, well, more than 16 years old. It's the first truck I got when I started working here 16 years ago, so, but it was older, it was a used truck that Public Works didn't want anymore. They gave it to me.
A hand-me-down?
Yeah, it was a hand-me-down, that was already old, so,
So are we gonna surplus that one? Is it just about gone?
no, I'm trying to keep it. I'm trying to keep it, so.
I'm very different with something. It's not the age of a vehicle,
It's condition.
it's the maintenance of a vehicle.
Sure.
And I know, Chad, we had this problem with, when we was at, we got rid of the car because of age, and we kept Jogo because they had the years, and that was the worst vehicle we could have kept. Because we were driving them every day, we knew.
Well, see, if we could keep that truck, then the 2 sports directors will have a vehicle they could use. Right now, they're using their personal vehicles to go back and forth, haul things in, equipment and stuff like that in, their personal vehicles. They have a truck, they can go down to the ball fields with a truck.
Yeah, we certainly don't need to have employees using personal vehicles.
And I mean, I don't know, I just don't know, so that's why I'm asking the question. Do we have to take on vehicles for the park employees, or I know?
No, I think I'm the only one that can take one home. I never do it though, but I'm the only one that can do it.
I know like the police department, they take their cars home.
Yeah. Parks Department's not really on call.
Sure.
You gotta have a good reason for that.
Yeah, I'm the
You
only
know,
one
a
that's,
Parks Director
Yeah,
can be
'cause I mean,
considered on call, but the
sure.
general workers, no, we're not taking them off.
I mean, 'cause I get called, come to the Gale Center, cut the air down, cut the heat up, unlock a door, something's wrong, power went out, so I'm always there.
We got a little bit of debt service down here, $18,000 note, or $19,000 with the interest, so we put that in there. And that's on that loan that was just taken out for the $94,000 on the ball fields.
Okay, so that's new.
That's brand new
New
loan.
money.
Yep, so it's not gonna roll off for a while.
That's a 5-year.
That's a 5-year, correct?
The line item ending in 725,
Yes.
furniture and fixture, what exactly is that?
So at the Gale Center, we rent that out for all kinds of events, y'all know about that. Well, to get us up to capacity, for we to seat that many people in there, we need $11,000 to do it. We're asking for 8 to kind of start us on the path of getting to, we can have it at capacity.
We opened-
We miss business for weddings and things like that because we can only seat right now 175 people.
So we bought stuff when we opened that building in 2007, I think. So we had new furniture then, but it's 14 years old and it's falling to pieces, so they're updating that furniture. They've got some new in there, but not all of it new.
So like tables and chairs?
Just
Is that
tables
what
and
you're
chairs.
Just
talking
tables,
about?
tables and chairs is what
I
it
mean,
is.
that's what I'm saying, it's tables and chairs
That's
versus,
it.
desks and, with that lounge chair.
No recliners.
We could use office, we could use offices though.
I will say that Dwayne had asked for office space in his budget, more office. There's a big space over there that's just got a bunch of supplies in it that could be repurposed. He was gonna get a price on that, but quite frankly, I just did not think this was the year to try to do that. There's obviously not enough money, so I didn't put that on here this year.
I begged real hard because I got staff that work in back rooms with no windows. And it have coaches and parents and whatnot to sit in, all 3 or 4 people in one space, and back in the back room, exposed pipes and things like that. It just doesn't look professional. It's just not a good environment to be working in. It'd be nice for them to have a window, a nice office to be in, just boosting your morale. You know,
Well,
so I asked,
My response to that, though, was I think the employees would enjoy better pay instead of the office.
You can get those, little, cause the Gale Center right there is so large. Can't you get like the petition walls that, you know, that kind of divide off and there, you can slide them and store them if you needed office space? Do you understand you know what I'm talking about?
Well, the spaces they had to put them in are just bare concrete floors with exposed pipes and uneven floors. I mean, it was gonna be a lot of work to make them into office.
I was just saying like part of the Gale Center. I mean, that's just a wide open room that isn't used all the time, is it?
well, yes, yeah,
It is used a lot?
Yes.
For
Whole lot.
events and stuff,
least,
that'll be totally,
yeah.
it wouldn't even be practical tearing up and putting down, I mean.
Well, I mean, they slide, like they, you know, they're just walls and you just move them to however space you need. I just didn't know that
Yeah,
you
they-
could like
they be moving-
makeshift offices if you needed it or
yeah,
something.
they'll be moving those daily because we got something going on every day. in the
Oh,
Gale
okay.
Center.
So
I went in there the
that
other
would be
day
in
and
the
there was
way.
a senior exercise group going on in the big level and then a senior singing group going on in the other room.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't
all at
realize
the same
that
time.
much was going on all the time.
It's every day.
It's a great building. It's low price for, I mean, we use it for our own programs, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also low price for rentals for people in the community that just need a space and can't afford one Memphis Street and things like that.
Which that's another thing we can look at in the future is raising the rent. The rental fee.
Well, the reason being, and then we got a building that we didn't, that was built for taxpayer money, that we didn't borrow money to build a building with. And so to try to raise the rent up to reap revenue, and the citizens already paid for that building once, I think it's totally inappropriate.
Well, the way I look at it from that standpoint is if they're gonna use it, you're having to use electricity and water and things like that,
That's
so
what they
it
paying for
still
that.
would cover it for rentals.
The rental fee pay for it now, it
What
costs.
is the rental fee?
200 for 4 hours.
200 and what?
$200 for 4 hours of rental.
One more time.
$200 for 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
For a 4-hour block, you pay $200.
Okay.
That's about the end of that budget, but just tell me what y'all would talk about.
So at the end of the day, he's basically with the projected increased revenue, he's asking for $7,500 extra. Am I reading that correctly?
Looks like 280 to me.
280.
Yeah.
280.
Well, hang on, let me go back to, this is the amended budget, so let me go back and look and give you a very accurate number. I have the budget here before the amendments. So,
I mean, his expenditures are up 279, but his revenues is up 272 or something, so it's about 700.
yeah, the total expenditures budgeted for the current year before we did the amendment was $1,003,003.
$3. Yeah.
So $1 million is what it was. So now we're gonna have expenditures of $1,275, so it'll be $275,000.
Yeah, but his revenue is up 272, 233, 60, right?
Yeah, but
That's because of the
the
transfer of
transfer.
funds.
General.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's because of the transfer of funds.
yeah, that all comes out of that 607, if, you know,
I got you, so you got 462 extra coming.
yeah.
And that's almost right in step with what the Neil Schaefer, the consultants that the city hired to do that feasibility study. On the low end, they recommended 1.3 million on the low end, and on the high end, they recommended 1.7.
And that wasn't by design either, it's just, I was looking at this, and then he showed me that study, and I'm like, well, this is the low end of what they said our city should be spending in a budget on sports.
So I guess then, when we come back to Park and Rec, it's gonna come back between you and Dwayne, y'all gonna come back and tell us what you wanna do versus maintenance contract out or else new employee hire.
That's right.
Cause it's not gonna be both.
Okay.
And the additional mowers, the multiple.
You understand? I mean,
Yeah.
that's basically where we are, is, you know,
Okay, we can do that.
we can't, I don't think that at this time in the process that,
Well, it doesn't make sense.
yeah, so I mean, that's, I think you were going along that line too, Alderman, Ross, when you asked about requirements, so I guess the thing is what you, as a manager, which one would you wanna do? Or a combination somewhere thereof, I don't know, or you want to just, you could even look at contracting out just certain grass cutting instead of all of it. You see what I'm talking about? It could be a combination, maybe I do one maintenance person and contract out some grass cutting. I don't know, I mean, that's a decision that
Okay.
y'all have to make.
I see what y'all are going at,
But
so
does that- I mean,
we're
does that-
gonna cut down the capital expenditure in half probably on the mowers. We wanna either cut out, basically we wanna cut out about 80,000, whether it's employees or
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm
grass
saying,
cut.
a combination of it, you
I
know,
got it.
what you
Okay.
think best to suit, you know, you.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
you know,
I think either one of those options gives us on the path of
yeah,
improving,
it's still gonna be an improvement.
yeah.
And then, like I said, it might be a combination of both, you know, instead of two maintenance person, I get one new position, instead of contract, all told, I might just do some fields and then we still maintain, I just said, still maintain Congo Park or something, I don't know, we just contract, the
Basi-
sports and the soccer, you know,
Sure.
Cut it
and then
up
we
to
still.
where.
We know what
do
y'all are
some,
Yeah, you just can't have all this new equipment and
Does that
then
make sense?
contract everything out, so it makes no sense to,
And, you know,
and have all these new positions and then you're contracting what you need these new people for. Outline.
I was thinking.
However you want it.
responsibilities
Yeah,
would be-
and possibly even contracting out the janitorial for cleaning the bathrooms.
Yeah, 'cause see, we got-
Look at that price.
say like
Alderman Wicker, were you gonna say something else?
Well, I just, if we're gonna contract it out, I mean, we're getting pretty close to, maybe need to put it out for a bid or whatever.
Yeah, or quotes at least, just to get I mean, we'd have to bid it out, but we should at least get a quote to kind of know
If we're
where
gonna
to
start
go.
October 1, contract it out.
That's
we're
right.
getting pretty close on that.
Well, grass cutting, the only thing about it, you get into the season, and you ain't got that much grass cutting.
That's right.
now.
I was
Thank
saying, I mean,
goodness.
by October, we may be out of grass season.
You know,
We
It's
normally start
usually
cutting
like
by late
March.
October, we start cutting,
March to.
We can get a price on the janitorial,
yeah.
and that could,
I'm just saying, you know. they
it's
can
just a
start-
commercial janitorial
I mean,
service.
literally, there might be one person who just wants to clean our bathrooms twice a day, not even a company. You know, literally somebody who just would wanna do that.
Well, there's a lot of
Cleaning
like
services.
cleaning services in Hernando that do commercial and, you know,
Residential, yeah.
residential.
Mhm.
I mean, that's something too, and I don't know if we have to have licensed and bonded folks like that, or I don't know what all the guidelines are, but I mean,
We'll
Yeah,
get
we have to be
them
licensed and
tell us.
bonded.
yeah.
Yeah, they have to.
You have to be licensed and bonded, yeah.
So, I mean, it just
What-
depends.
And one thing that may potentially happen, just in looking at that specifically with janitorial, is the expenses related to supplies may increase significantly. Because
Sure,
it's
if we're
someone that
cleaning
does
twice
not
as
work
much.
for the city of Hernando, they don't care how much toilet paper they use, how much cleaning supplies they use, hey, they're here to do a job, and you need to supply them with cleaning liquid, well, they're gonna use as much as they need to use to get the job done, so we may see that number
That's true.
Take up.
escalate. Because
And-
right now, I mean, you know, I know you guys are going in there once a day, under the best circumstances, going in there once a day. It may not be much being used regularly.
Okay.
Well,
That's
you make a good point, because people do take toilet paper out of our restroom.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we
Do y'all
can
have
get
it
an
Especially during
all-inclusive.
Do
during
y'all have
COVID.
it locked up in places?
No, what we do is we put a certain amount in the rolls that you can lock
Oh,
inside the
okay.
restroom.
Okay.
And then goes to the weekend, we put those two and then one on top to kind of cover the weekend. And they still break them and they take out. They break the piece of equipment at the end.
Well, maybe outsourcing it, they can control that better. You know, I don't know, because they're in there more, or whatever, I
I know,
don't know.
but I think those people being is saying,
I can't
someone's
believe
gonna
we're
steal
so
that toilet paper
destructive
and they're gonna
people.
still be saying, somebody stole it and still
So
charge us
I
for
guess,
it.
I guess that's when you look at, it's two things, is that when you talk about cleaning, are you talking about they're just actually doing the cleaning or they supplying too?
Yeah, if they can supply their own cleaning materials.
Yeah, you
Part of
could,
the bid, it's part of the
it's
quote.
part of the bid, yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be something y'all have to
They
work
put
out.
it to the bid.
Do y'all want to do the same thing we did for this meeting and just recess this one until Tuesday night?
That's fine with me.
are we through? I don't want to cut anybody short.
Are we gonna finish Tuesday?
I don't know that we'll finish, but what I would like to do is present the entire general fund budget. We've done the tiny little streets portion of it, but present the entire general fund budget, which will be court, police, fire, dispatch. So all of that, and get that one done. Hopefully, by then, we could be close enough that maybe at the regular September 7th meeting, we could really finish the budget and adopt it, maybe not. If not, we'll have one more special meeting. I would hope that, my hope, that may not happen, would be that Tuesday night, y'all send me back with enough information and changes you want to make to the general fund, that I could bring back a total package of budget to y'all September 7th that was close enough, we could hash the rest of it out and adjust and adopt. So, that's my goal. We have until September 15th by law, but if we could do it at that final meeting on September 7th, if we don't feel like we're ready, then we'll hold one more special meeting before the 15th. But we're already gonna be into 3 special meetings, I know y'all's time is valuable.
Gotta do what we gotta do.
So, we'll just see how far we get Tuesday night, how's that?
Okay.
All right? Well, can I have a motion to recess this meeting until Tuesday night
So made.
at 6 o'clock?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carries. We are recessed until 6 o'clock Tuesday. All of you watching on YouTube, tune back in. See you then.
How
Thank you,
many-
Dwayne.
Gia, can you tell how many people are actually watching